Hey there, lovely people. Welcome to Be Your Best You with Tash and Becky, your go-to hangout for all things spiritual, subconscious, and downright magical. We're here to sprinkle a little mystical wisdom into your everyday life and help you level up your reality.
Picture this as your cosmic coffee date, where we chat about the unseen world, blend in some psychology vibes and stir up the subconscious magic. Get ready to be the queen of your own reality, live a life that lights you up and have a blast doing it.
So grab your latte or your tea and let's dive into another episode of Be Your Best You, where the mystical meets the mundane and your best life awaits.
Cheers to creating magic together.
Let's do this.
Hey guys, can we ask you a favour?
Can we ask, if you haven't already, please make sure that you're following us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so you can get updated with all the latest episodes every week when they come out. You never know, it might just be the thing that you need to hear at that time. Also, don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, so make sure you head over there and subscribe to us there.
And share with all your friends.
Thanks, guys.
Hi!
Welcome back to another episode of Be Your Best You with Tash.
I'm Becky, and it's the guest edition.
And today we're very excited. We have, hang on, wait a minute, psychic medium, channeler, spirit school teacher, is there anything else?
Healer,
energy healer, Dawn SH on the show. Bex, it was such a cool conversation, wasn't it?
I think everyone's going to really love listening to Dawn. She's got some really great stories to tell you about the unseen world, which we all love, don't we? I love all those stories. So we really hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, you're going to want to listen to this if you want to know how to connect to your spirit guides, which you have, whether you know it or not. This is going to give you really tangible ways to connect, but also to understand how you're already connected. And it's not how you might think. So enjoy. Today we're super excited because we have the lovely Dawn on the show. Dawn, welcome.
Hi,
so
Dawn.
lovely to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Amazing. We're so excited for this conversation, Dawn. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? But we are here. The time is now. So before we dig into this awesome conversation we're just about to have, could you let our audience get to know you a little bit better? Can you just explain who you are, what you do, and then we can kind of go from there?
Yes. Well, my name's Dawn SH, as I'm known on social media. I'm a mother to 4 beautiful souls. I have a partner who's away all week, so it's very quiet. And I've got a couple of pets, and I also have a business which is Spirit Taught School, and this is to help people who are newly awakened or awakened to unravel their authentic self, their healing, to connect really with their spirit guides and to follow their soul purpose. And it's a beautiful journey. That's what I do.
Wow.
And I absolutely love it.
Amazing.
I can feel that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're going to dive deeper into kind of what you help people do in your school, like how you were saying, because we were just talking off camera, like it's amazing, isn't it? You help people connect into their own spirit guides, like you help them connect basically, and all the great stuff that comes from that, find their soul purpose. Before we go into that, I'd love to know a little bit more about your journey and how you kind of got to where you are. So did you, we like asking this, don't we? Like, have you always kind of had a psychic gift as a child? Did it kind of spring on you when you were like an adult? Tell us a little bit more about how you kind of realized your abilities.
Yeah. Well, I would say I've had it as a child, but I didn't know I had it as a child. It was very freaky. It scared the hell out of me. So it was very much as a child kind of feeling, right? It sounds weird. So I couldn't see anybody, but I felt like someone was watching me. I felt like someone was following me around all the time. I was scared to death to go into my own bedroom because I knew they were all there. I didn't know who, but I just felt it. Telling my mum and dad, and my mum's like, oh, it's just your imagination. Don't be silly. There's nothing there. Checking your room and all of this stuff. And, I'm hiding there under the duvet with a little peephole because I thought, oh my God, if I leave a toe out, it's going to get chopped off. All this stuff were going through my mind.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing when I look back and remember. I mean, I do remember very, very early on in a kind of darker situation in my childhood where I was actually locked in a cupboard. I know this is very dark, locked in a cupboard, and I actually saw my guardian angel. But obviously, being that young, 2.5 to 3 years old, I didn't know it was my guardian angel. But looking back now, you know it is.
Yeah.
So that was the first time. Then it was being with my dad and my mum and feeling that spirit that was around, feeling scared. Oh, it was horrendous. And then the other ones were psychic, which I didn't know were psychic, just knowing things without knowing how I knew them. You know, I remember being about 10 and my mum used to work days and my dad worked nights, and my dad would due to come home in the morning, my mum would swap. He'd take us to school, she'd go to work, right? He didn't come home and he were very, very late. And mum was like, come on, where are you? Where are you? You know, like talking to herself. And I said, oh, he's broke his leg. You know, he's got a pot right up to here. He's got these massive wooden sticks. And she just looks at me and she's like, scolded me, sit down. That's horrible. Why would you say that? So I just sat down. And sure enough, not long after, we hear the clunking and the banging coming in through the door, and these wooden sticks appear. And he's only gone and broke his leg at work. He'd had an accident, and that's why he was late. And my mum just looked at me like really freaked out, like. And she always says now, "You've always been weird, haven't you?" You know. She still doesn't believe in it to this day. She said, "I don't know how you do what you do. I don't understand it, but I just don't get it, and I just don't believe in it." And I was like, "That's fine. You don't need to." You know. So it kind of went through that through my childhood. As I got to 18, I moved into a World Heritage village and moved out for the very first time, thinking I was old enough and, you know, doing all this stuff, right, trying to be a grown up. I lasted 1 year in that house because the first night I moved in, they were, you know, running up the stairs and it stopped outside the bedroom door. And I was like, what on earth? It was terrifying. And then it happened again and it kept happening. And I kept seeing things like move. It was really weird. And again, terrified of coming out of the bathroom. I felt like people were watching me on the landing. And, you know, so it kind of like freaked me out again. And my partner at the time, his mum were like, go to the spiritualist church, see if you can get a reading. So I went, you know, just being young. Me and my best friend sat at the back like, please don't come to us, please don't come to us, please don't come to us, you know. We don't want a reading, really. We're just here. We were so scared. And she did. She came to me and she said, there's busloads of spirits here waiting to connect with you. I'm thinking, I don't even know that many spirits. Like, you know, thinking they were my family or something. And I thought, yeah, this is rubbish. You know, I didn't think. But then she started to tell me these things that were happening in my house and who they were, like my family. And I'm like, okay, that's freaking me out now. That is freaking me out. And she told me about a holiday I was going to go on and this is and this. And I'm thinking, well, I'm never going to go to Ibiza. Like, why would I want to go there? You know, that wasn't my kind of thing. And sure enough, about 2 years later, I was in Ibiza, saw the sign that she told me I would see in San Miguel. And I was like, wow, I believe, right? You know, it was that kind of did it. But I then went on to have my eldest daughter and then family, and these little things were still happening. You know, I was very aware when people were around me and me picking up on their situation or what. Don't go there. You don't want to go there. And then they'd go there and something would happen. You know, that kind of thing. And it was very much like that. I could see the truth behind people's words that they were telling me. You know, I could see it all. And I just kind of ignored it really. And it wasn't until, you know, I was 36 and saw for the very first time a spirit silhouette, just a black silhouette, just walk across my living room in the midday. And I'm watching it walking along going, oh my God. And I just knew it were a male. I knew it were a man. I couldn't see anything. And then all of a sudden, this corner of my living room was very much like a waiting room at a doctor's, and there was lots of different spirits there just coming out. And then there was orbs and all sorts. And it's like, I'm like, I think I've opened a portal in this house, and, you know, freaking myself out again. But then I thought, am I absolutely bonkers? You know?
Yep.
Am I crazy?
Yep.
Am I seeing this, or do I need to go to a nut house?
Mm.
And I thought, you know what? And that's when I found Katie, and I was like,
Yeah.
I need to know once and for all. And that's what happened. And I went on the spiritual development journey, and here we are.
Wow.
It's really interesting because I love hearing people's experiences as children, because I think
Yeah.
it's really helpful because, like you're trying to get out there your message, which you're trying to promote the same with us, is we all have these abilities, we all have these gifts. I do see it as, like we can all play the piano, we can all learn to play the piano. We're not all going to be Mozart, right? But we
No.
all have the ability.
Mm.
And I think that when we're children, we obviously are much closer and more connected to those abilities,
Yeah.
aren't we? And then it's dependent on whether they're like honed or that you're
Yeah.
programming.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, and
Mm.
and I think it's really helpful for other people, like our audience, to hear other people's stories so they can go, oh my gosh, I
Mm.
experienced that as
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
because your story is very similar to mine. I felt it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I didn't really see, I only saw a few times, but I felt, and I had the knowing as well.
Yeah.
And I think the knowing is a really difficult one, isn't it? Because that's the one that you can doubt the most, because you're like,
Yeah.
well, I can't possibly know this. This
Yeah.
is just my mind making it up, and you push it to the back. Whereas if you see something, it's a bit
Yeah.
harder to
Deny it.
exactly, right? So I think that it's really helpful when,
Mm.
we hear people like you who have clearly kind of developed your abilities now, to hear that's how it started with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my great grandma, she was very psychic, very in tune, but very proud lady. So she wouldn't want people to judge her. Her daughter, my nana, she is very drawn to mediums and psychics and things like that. She's had many readings from famous mediums and things like that. But she's also got the sixth sense, and my dad has the sixth sense. And, he's seen spirit before. He's seen what he
Right.
calls ghosts,
Yeah.
working in a council place that he used to work in. He saw it just disappear into the old arches that used to be there. And, so I know it's being passed down. It's just, you get to the point in your downline of your generations of your family, and someone is going to stand up. Someone is going to be not bothered about what people think, and you're going to heal that generational timeline
Yeah.
for past and future. My children, I've got 4, and they're all very unique. We've all got the gifts, as we call them. I
Yeah.
don't like using the word gift because it sounds like, anyway, but it's an ability, right?
Yeah.
So my eldest child, she's very much a crystal child, but she is very in tune into how people feel. She's very aware of how she communicates to that person. She doesn't just blurt it out and be like, "Blah, blah, blah," she's very aware. She absolutely is drawn to crystals. She has thousands of crystals, and she knows, she just goes, right, I need some confidence today. And she'll put a few together, feel it in her hand, and she goes, yeah, that's good. Puts it in a bag. Right. And then she's used this. And I think because I'm so open and I've never, ever pushed it on them, it's a case of, bearing in mind, my eldest is nearly 20. So I wasn't doing any of this work. Right. So I was ignoring it for a long, long time. But watching her growing up, when she wanted to come to me, it was very much like I'd listen and she'd say, what do you think? And I'd be like, well, what do you think? Let them go with it, and, just don't disregard it. Excuse me. My second daughter, Ellie, she's 16. She's very much like me, a medium. She's already opened up, connected, brought spirits through her. We've done this when she was like 13. She's a wild child, very much like myself. She's going on this journey of experience, right? She's got to experience human life first, just like I did. And I think it'll be later on for her. But she's very much like myself. And then I've got Tom, who he is 15, nearly 15, and he is sensitive, like very particular in everything that he does, very sensitive, very emotional, that kind of, just a sensitive. And he can hear spirit. And he's like, I'm never working with spirit. It freaks me out. Da, 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 da. I'm like, that's fair enough, whatever.
Yeah.
And then my youngest is 6 and he, oh my God, he channels. He channels, right? And he always speaks about God. Now, I don't speak about God. No one in this house does speak about God, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, I've recently channeled God myself, but he's like, we'll be driving along and he's sat in the back of the car and he's watching, you know, out the window, and then he just starts going, Mom. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's interesting. It's like he said to me the other day, do you know, Mum, God told me there's no days. You do know that there's no days, there's no time, there's no days. I said, really? That's interesting. I said, so what is there then? He said, well, I can only explain it in the way that I can explain it to you. So we are, you know, using the time and the days. He said, if you think of every 24 hours, which there isn't an every 24 hours, but if you think of 24 hours, it's the same day over and over again. And you're just having different experiences in that timeline, but there's no time. And I totally got what he was saying, right?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, wow. But with him being 6, he struggles to articulate it, you know, like it's coming through as a 6-year-old.
Mhm.
When he was 2.5, always been very forward with speech, with everything. Like he's like a little old man, and everybody says he's like a little old man. I said, I know, honestly. He chews the ears off old ladies and up the bus. So wherever we go, he's always got something to say. But you know, when he was 2.5, he started to see coloured flashes out the corner of his eyes, and he's like, Mum, these coloured flashes are scaring me, you know? They were quite scary. He said they keep coming close and then away and then close and then away, and it's at bedtime when I'm trying to go to sleep. And so I had to do a bit of a cleansing and with him and everything, and just kind of thing. And then as he got a little bit older, he says they're angels, but they don't look like you think they look like, Mummy. Yeah. They don't have wings. They don't look very nice, actually, some of them. Yeah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." He said, "They don't look mean, they're not, you know, they're not monsters or anything like that. They're just different." And I'm like, "Oh, okay then." And then so he's always been that connected then. And then he told me about another life that he'd had when he was like 3.5. We're walking to nursery and he's like, "Mummy, where's my wife?" I said, "Your wife?" And he was like, "Yeah, you know, the brown lady and she works with the chocolate plants."
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
And then he went on to talk about something totally different, you know, like kids
Yeah.
ramble on.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, if I could just have a permanent recorder, just
Yeah.
recording him, it'd be brilliant. But it's so random that it comes out,
Yeah.
you know, and there's been so many experiences where he's talked about the universe and all of these things. And it's incredible. It's really amazing. I think to create that space for the next generation, because they are fully open, and because a lot of us are now more open, they can reveal themselves quicker. And
Yeah.
it's just, I think we are all creating at this kind of time a place for them, you know?
Mm.
It's almost making it a lot easier for them to not be scared of it, not be anything, you know, like it's
Yeah.
absolutely normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what advice would you have, for for any of the listeners or whose children are saying sort of things like that maybe?
Yeah.
What would
I
you
would
say to them?
I would just say, listen, like,
Yeah.
because sometimes we're so wrapped up being busy in our lives, we're rushing here, we're rushing
Mm.
there, and we're like, yeah, in a minute, I'll listen to you in a minute, you know, da, 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 and
Yeah.
then that moment has gone.
Yeah.
And it's in the moment, isn't it? Like when
Mm.
we're connecting, it's in that moment. And you know, if we're busy and we're not slowed down in our awareness, we're gonna miss our guidance, gonna miss something for us. So I would
Mm.
say be present in that moment. If they want to speak and it sounds weird,
Mm.
if you're not doing this work, it's going to sound really strange, and it's going to
Mm.
sound like, wow, that's really out there, like, you know. But if you listen but don't put your thoughts and feelings into it, and
Mm.
just be like, if they ask you what do you think, ask them
Mm.
what they think, reverse it back, and they will then open up to channel even more, because it just starts to come through, like flowing through. But listen, document it. I have a journal for my son, and I'm like, this date, this time, and I'm journaling it out.
I wish, because my son, who is nearly 17 now, but he was exactly like that. He was an old soul. We were talking about this the other day, actually, but I wish I had documented it. I wish I'd written it down, because I wasn't necessarily, I wasn't open like I am now, but I was still open. But, he used to have like night terrors about crashing airplanes, which clearly sounded like World War II. It really did. And he was fascinated with airplanes, and he knew things about airplanes that he should not know. How to fix them, parts of them, the different types of air. And actually, I haven't told you this, but just yesterday we were just driving, weren't talking about anything. He's like a typical 16-year-old. No, mum, stop with your woo woo. I don't want to hear it. But he just looked at me and he said, I think I was a pilot in the Vietnam War in a past life, Mum. And I was like,
that's giving me goosebumps.
Don't scare him. Don't get too overexcited. But I was like, yes, Charlie. It's coming, because he was such an old soul, and he had this imaginary friend he called Gordon. I mean, honestly, like Gordon. And he used to describe him. He'd tell me about him, and he was like this older man, and he was always smoking. I was like, Charlie, why have you got a friend 3 years old today? Like, he's wearing the airplane jacket and the things, the muffs that they wore and stuff. Yeah. So
my eldest, she had an imaginary friend called Poppy. And Poppy was very cheeky, a bit naughty, and most people would think, oh yeah, they just do it, saying it because they're actually the ones being naughty or whatever. But she came bowling with us and everything. She could walk through the toilet walls. Maisie was on the toilet. She was like, Mum, Poppy can go through the walls. She don't even need to open the door. And I was like, wow, she was only 3.5, but she enjoyed Poppy. She enjoyed Poppy being around her.
Yeah.
My other girl, Ellie, she very much, there was an old man, she used to call him Wickman, and he had a stick, and he was all horrible, like an old man and horrible, and he used to stand near the bottom of a bed, and it used to absolutely terrify. And I had to do a bit of a closing off of her energy at the time. I had to search for it, because obviously I didn't do these things back then. So I had to search, like, how can I get rid of spirits? How can I help my child? I was really trying to find this information. It was really difficult, but we did that every night at like bedtime story. Then we'd do the protection, the clearing, and I'd sit in there with my legs crossed, like with sage and all sorts, like trying to get rid of it, like absolutely crazy. My little boy, he actually saw, it wasn't an imaginary friend, actually. We just sat on the sofa one day, and when you go in a daze, he was in a daze, and he was in this daze for 10 minutes, and he was just staring like this. And I was like watching him. I thought, let's not interrupt him. And then after 10 minutes, you could tell he were kind of coming back round. I said, are you all right there? He said, yeah, I don't want to tell you, because you might think I'm crazy and you think I'm going to be embarrassed. I said, I promise you, I will not think you're crazy, and you've no need to be embarrassed. Tell me. And he went, this little girl, she was 3, came to me and she wanted me to play with this teddy. And he said, it was like in my mind, Mum. It was in my mind. I wasn't really doing it. I said, I understand. And he said, she was playing with me with this teddy, and she really wanted me. And then next minute, it was like I just went, and I was in this house with no stairs. Obviously an apartment or a flat or something, I think he was trying to describe. And he was like, but she's got a mummy, but the house with no stairs were burning, and all of this stuff. So they've died in this apartment fire or something, And he said, and then I was just back here, and I was like, wow, that is amazing. I said, how did you feel? Did you feel scared? He said, no, because it was nice. I just felt like I just wanted to play with her, because it made her happy. Bless you.
Oh, wow. I love these like stories, I think, because I wish I knew what I knew now when my kids were younger, because I would have just, I would have explored it. I would have helped them to explore it. And like I said, I was open, so I never shut Charlie down when he would say these things. But, I didn't listen and push and explore. But I think that it's great now, because like you said, Dawn, like we're all kind of awakening in a certain way. We're definitely more open, aren't we? And you're right. I think we have to be, because we're preparing these kids who are coming in with these gifts switched on, so we're not programming them and shutting them down like our generation for the most part. I think. But so then I think like what I would really like to like hear from you now that because like you said, you've obviously, your gift was quite apparent anyway, but you've developed it now, haven't you? And you've kind of like honed it. And what I'm really interested in is how you receive your messages from your spirit guides, or how you see or connecting with spirit, because I think a lot of people tend to think, and I know that I was one of them before I started kind of digging. Dawn and I were actually in the same psychic school with the same lady, and once I started digging into that, I kind of realized it wasn't just as simple as this. But I think a lot of people tend to think that psychic mediums just see spirit with their actual eyes, see spirit, hear what their words in their, like, you know, in their ears, as if they're
Physically, yes.
hearing us speaking. And if they don't experience that, then they clearly haven't got a gift, and that's not true at all, is it? So I'd love to hear kind of how you connect in with spirit and how you experience it.
That's a good point, because a lot of people, I mean, I didn't know. I was waiting to hear spirit. Like, you know, I was connecting. I'm like, why am I not hearing them? Like, I expected to hear whispers, because when you watch mediums on the telly, they're whispering in my ear now. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not getting these whispers. And I'm like, I'm really gutted. You know, whichever sense you've got open, you want the other one, don't you?
Right, exactly that. Never happy. It's like,
Never
if you've got
happy.
short hair, you want long hair. If you want long hair, you want it short.
So I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm just not meant to hear spirit then. Fine. You know, I was in a bit of a mood with my spirit team, which I normally am anyway. And so basically, I used to feel. So it was feeling it's like feeling like someone is around you, feeling like there's another presence near you. Like you can feel it. You might get the body shudders. You might get that feeling of, you know, that kind of feeling. So it was very much feeling that energy, or feeling other people's emotions, how they were feeling without trying to do it. Do you know what I mean? It was just that was what it was. Knowing was just saying something just came out of my mouth, and I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know how I knew that information. It just came out. So it was very, very much them too. Then, like I say, spirit seemed to ramp up. Like it was almost like it was my time to develop. And in order to get me to do that and not ignore it again for another 20 years or however long, they needed to ramp it up. So it's almost like the sent spirit to just walk in my living room. Now, it's very hard to explain, is it? This wasn't a physical, even though it looked like I was seeing it with my eyes. I was actually seeing it in my mind, but it was projecting outwards into my living room. So I always explain like this: if you have abilities and how you know, and then they can show up in various different ways, each sense evolves as well over time. It's not just, I've seen spirit as a dark silhouette, I'm never going to see him in any other way, because mine changed over time, where I could see like the apparition, you know, and see spirit in my mind still. So I say it like this: imagine your spirit guide having someone who's invisible there, and you're the projector, right? It's like they're slotting slideshows into you, and you're either going to see them internally. So when I went on my spiritual journey, I didn't see spirit on the outside anymore, because I was trying, you know, hard. I had to close my eyes. I had to concentrate. I was like, right, what am I seeing? Am I seeing spirit, you know, with my eyes closed and trying to picture all this stuff in here? And so it was very much internal. And this, when I remember doing live readings and I was sat there and I was like, sick. So I'm going to look stupid with my eyes closed, sat here with my eyes closed, you know, how am I want to read like everyone else with my eyes open. And I remember going into this live reading and my spirit guide were like, open your eyes. And I opened my eyes and I could see things, right? And I was like, oh my God, I can see. But again, it was like a projection in here outwards, and it was very misty. Like, so say for instance, if I were describing somebody, it'd come through as a mist of their head and the hair. I just knew what colour hair they had. I knew if they wore glasses and what they used to wear and things like that. And like, I remember seeing a bunch of cherries and a brown paper bag. I didn't see it was brown, and I didn't see the colour red of the cherries. It was just a mist shaped in that shape. And I was like, did they used to go to a market and always get cherries, red cherries in a bag, like a brown paper bag? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, you know, kind of thing. And it was like, all right, this is pretty cool, you know?
Yeah.
So that was like the saying. And then it's changed. Like sometimes it can be a picture. Sometimes it's that slideshow. Sometimes it's the projection, you know?
Mm-hmm.
As for hearing, like I said, I didn't really have that in the beginning, or I didn't think I had, because I didn't know how it worked. So it wasn't until I was actually channeling a reading out for somebody. And at that time, I only did written readings, like just sit, open, write. So that was my comfort zone, was that. I loved it. And I was doing all the usual. What am I seeing with my eyes closed? What am I feeling? You know, what does spirit want to say? And this and this. So I described the spirit, a lady. And then as I were getting to the end of the reading, it was like if I'd have coughed, sneezed, blinked, I'd have missed it. It was almost like my inner voice, right? My own voice, my reading voice, as I call it, the
Yeah.
internal voice. It's mum, lung cancer. And I was like, is that part of this reading or not? Why am I saying that? This is weird. So I just wrote at the bottom with stars at the side, like, it's mum, lung cancer. And I thought, oh. And you know, when I used to do a video recording, I'd get my notepad, I'd be like, this is everything I've got for you. Like, do it now. And I'd be like, da-da-da-da-da. And I got to the end and I said, this is a bit of a new thing for me. And I'm not sure if it's part of the reading or not, but you can tell me. And I just said, you know, I heard, I think it's mum lung cancer. When they got back to me, they were like, the lady you described is my mum and she did die of lung cancer. And I was like, oh, who knew you could hear spirit in your own voice in your head? Right?
Wow.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. So then the next reading I did, I'm like, okay, because at that time, as I was practicing, I was just practicing the time. I was like, right, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I hearing? What am I knowing? What am I tasting? What am I smelling? Right? I'm going through all my senses to try and pick as much as I could up. And I started to hear spirit. And I was like, my God. And it's so bizarre. Like, honestly, it's so bizarre sometimes. But a lot of people, and I found, I didn't know that. So when I remember doing a video for my group, you know, it's a free group that I have, and I did a video of hearing, you know, clairaudience. And I thought, yeah, you can search on Google about clairaudience. I searched on Google many times about clairaudience, but I didn't know how it would work. I was still thinking I needed to listen and for voices. So I did a video on it and everyone like, wow, we didn't know this. And I'm like, I know, right? Listen to that internal voice. And like, yeah, but how do I know if it's me? Or how do I know if it's spirit? And that's one of the biggest questions people ask, isn't it? How do I know it's me? And I'm like, listen, if you are thinking of something like, what, I need to get this from the shop, you know, you do your internal dialogue with yourself, don't you? Or what decision do I need to make for this? Blah, 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 blah. And you go in on one and you would need to think, right? It's you having a conversation with you. And that's you. That response is you. If it's very random or you've opened up to spirit and you're trying, if you're on a development journey already and something comes through and it's like, well, why would I say it's mum lung cancer? I wouldn't, just out of the blue. You wouldn't say it, would you? You wouldn't think that in your mind, you know? And I do remember my eldest daughter, she was at school, she was about 15, going on 16 at the time. She had a girlfriend. And all her friends used to come here in the morning, you know, to kind of watch school together. They'd all bunch up in my house in the morning, bit of a madhouse. And she'd get her shoes on and they'd set off and I was taking my wheelie bin out. And this is how it can be so random. And I remember walking up the path with the wheelie bin to the end of the road. And I was like, bye guys, see ya. Like walks back down the path. And as I'm coming in my front door, in my head, in my own voice, I heard her girlfriend's going to split with her. And I was like, Dawn, why would you think something so horrible? And I shut the door and I went on my day, you know, like in my kitchen doing all my stuff. And she comes home crying. And I was like, what's the matter? And she's like, she's dumped me. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I thought, I can't say this right now. It's not the right moment. Well, I already knew. Spirit told me, you know, this. I thought, better not. So I did all the TLC like you do. And then I did tell her a few days later, and I thought, wow, isn't that incredible? You know?
I just think it's like, I'm so glad you shared that, because
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to hear this.
They
I
do.
know I needed to hear it, because
Mm.
that was definitely something that I had to go through in my, like, when I was kind of trying to do my psychic development, because
Yeah.
I so wanted to be able to hear spirit's
Yeah.
voice. I so wanted it. And I can, because I was so focused on trying to hear that voice, I was completely ignoring their voice in
Mm.
my voice. And when I realized it, I was just like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous." And
Yeah.
I think what's really important, like, for anyone who's trying to kind of do it, I think, like, what I found really helpful, and I don't know about you, Dawn, like, I was lucky because I got to practice my gifts, because again, I don't like calling them gifts, but
Yeah.
let's embrace it.
Yeah.
We all have gifts. Let's embrace it, right? So I got to practice it when I was working with my clients doing the hypnotherapy, and I would have that exact voice say something like, you know, they ha- they have an underlying, like, fear of judgment because something happened to them in the school, da, da, da. And I'd be like, I can't know that. That can't be me. I don't know that. But am I just making that up? Just say it, Tash. And
Just
I would,
saying.
and that was the best way that I learned to trust that
Mm.
voice. I would literally say it, wouldn't I? I would just say what I see, say what I hear, and then I would get the feedback, and they'd go, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes, that's
Where
it."
the fear is, isn't it? A lot of people, and I find that, a lot of people absolutely love psychic. It's like, yeah, like they just do. When I teach psychic, they absolutely love it. They get to mediumship and they're like, oh, oh my God. And it's because when you've got a good heart and you really, really want to do a good job, I think that is what puts the pressure on you, which stops you from relaxing, right? And then when you're not
100%.
relaxed enough to receive, it kind of puts this block in the way.
Yeah.
And I'm do the same with my students. I'm like, I don't care what it is, right? We're going to just say it. Even if it sounds stupid, even if you might be embarrassed about saying it, whatever it's going to be, we're going to say it. And I get them used to just saying that. And then after that, I get them doing it in a very rounded way of saying
Mhm.
something with, compassion, because let's face it, when you're doing mediumship, and it's very difficult for that person, isn't it, to
Yeah.
receive. And what you want from a reading is you want them, they're going to come in a certain kind of state or expectation or whatever, and you're going to give what you can give in that moment. But we do it with compassion and love, so that that healing can take place, because it's always about healing.
Mm.
And they will cry in that reading. They will burst into tears. They will cry, like, and just release. I'm sorry for crying. And I'm like, no, you need to cry. This is good, right?
Mm.
This is releasing. And they leave that reading better than when they came into it. And for me, that is that's one of the main things. Like, don't make someone feel worse than when they came to you. Don't tell them certain things like, you've got cancer or
Yeah.
this and this. You just wouldn't do it. Like, you
No.
just don't do that. I said that the whole point is so spirit, they can recognize who spirit is. What are spirit doing now they're on the other side? What life are they living? Because guess what? Spirit live a life, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh yeah, they think they're just somewhere, right? But they've actually got jobs to do on the other side. They're busy, you know, but they've still got time for the loved ones, haven't they?
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
thought away is just like, I'm there, I'm with you. You think of them, they're with you. Even if you can't see them, even if you can't feel them, even if you just don't know they're there, when you think of them, they are with you. And that's
Yeah.
one thing I like to show in a reading. And will spirit, show me when you've been with them.
Yeah.
And, there were one lady, it was so funny. She was freaked out, actually. It wasn't funny because she was absolutely freaked out. But, I thought it was hilarious. She'd cooked a lasagna, in a glass lasagna dish.
Mhm.
So she'd spent all this time, cooking lasagna, and she was so hungry. And Spirit said to me, the lasagna, tell her about the lasagna. And I'm thinking, all right, okay, there must be something special about this lasagna. Or she must make it a certain way. That's my human getting in the way,
Yeah.
what's going on with this lasagna. And then they went, she dropped the dish. ask her about dropping the dish. And I was like,
Oh.
they're saying that you dropped a lasagna dish. And she was like, 2 days ago, I'd made lasagna and I was, when you're so hungry and you're just thinking, I'm so ready for this. But I got it out for my whole family and dropped it all over the floor. And obviously
That's
there's
devastating.
no recovering that, is there? I was devastated. And I felt like I actually could cry because it was one of those days for her where, things were just getting on top of her. And that was kind of like the cherry on the top for her, right? And I'm like, well, spirit were there with you. And, so it's funny little things like that, isn't it? Like that it's, to us, it's absolutely nothing, but to that person that day, they were really struggling. And that's why their loved ones were with them,
Yeah.
So it's proving life after death. It's proving that actually they're still with you
Yeah.
and around you when you're doing silly little things like
Yeah.
dropping lasagna dishes.
Exactly.
It's not this, people think, oh my God, it's going to be, I need to get this massive evidence of this, and this. And it's like, it's so simple. Don't overcomplicate it. But as for receiving, like with my spirit team, the first thing I teach my students is the basics: ground, protect, cleanse, right? Just the basics, just have your own little routine, however you want to do it. There's no set way of doing these things, right? You want to communicate while you're walking with your headphones in, walking through the trees, connect that way. If you want to sit there in meditation, you do it that way. If you want to channel right, you do it that way. We're doing it however feels best for you, right? Because it's personal. I like channel right and I like have everything documented, and it's getting a bit of an issue now with notepads. I'm not going to lie. It's actually taking over my life. And, channel right. So when I'm channeling, it's the inner voice, that inner voice. And I open myself up to channel. I receive, I write it down, I put the date, everything. And I have a different process. My spirit team give me a totally different process to what I learned,
Right.
So I was like, because that wasn't my way. The way that I learned was not my way. I learned to journal and let the journal change into channeled writing. And to me, it just didn't flow that way for me. So they give me a little process and like, this is the reason why we journal first. We're just going to journal first. We journal because we want you to see what energy you're in. We want you to really honestly express how you're feeling on a daily basis, right? That, get it all out. Even if you've had a good day, even if this, even if that, whatever it is, get it out of your head, everything. And it's like clearing in that moment. It's like an appointment with your spirit team. Like, you book an appointment with your doctors, you're going to show up, aren't you? So show up to have that appointment with your spirit team. Let them, you get that out, journaling. Then we're going to do your gratitude because, like they said, gratitude brings you into that exact present moment right now to connect with your spirit team. But you're not just going, I am grateful for the roof over my head, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that. You're not doing that. You can do that any time of the day. I do it in the morning. I say it in my head when I wake up. I'm grateful to be alive today. I'm grateful for another beautiful day. When I go to bed, I'm grateful for everyone in my life, and that's me, awake, asleep. So that's that. You can do all these little things, but this gratitude is very much looking at what you've just written in your journaling and going, if you've had a bad day, if someone's annoyed you, irritated you, right? You're recoding that into why you're grateful for it. So if it's a lesson, do you know what actually made me realize I actually have some shadow work to do? It made me realize I'm looking at myself a little bit deeper here. I'm grateful for all of that. It's changing, it's recoding everything you're putting down. And then we're going to do our desires because your spirit team want to know what you want. How can they help you if they don't know what you want? How can your angels help you if they don't know what you want? We've got to communicate with them. Do that. Then go into channeling. And I just start with spirit guides. Spirit team. I always say spirit team because, it could be spirit guides, angels, galactic beings, dragon energies, whoever's going to come through, right? So I allow what I need that day from whichever being it's going to be. What guidance do you have for me today? They flow that out. They need to get across to me what I need to hear. Then I'll ask my questions. Can you help me with this? How can I do this? What can I do with this? Can you give me advice on this? And I do that. So it was a very different process. And obviously the reasons why we do it that way. And that, in the beginning used to take me an hour, and now I can do it in like 15 minutes.
Wow.
Sometimes I don't feel the urge to sit there and channel write. I feel the urge to just, and it's really weird. Sometimes I'm washing up or I'm doing something and I'm putting around, and then I just get this drop in like idea or something. And it can come in that way. Or on an evening when my child's gone to bed, I have this urge to just go sit on my bed. I do not know why, because this is my spiritual corner, right? This is where I do everything. I go sit on my bed with my legs crossed, and I just put my hand on my heart and I just breathe. I don't know why I do this. It's just the way that I do it. I breathe and I expand my energy out, and I just send love and healing into the world. And I don't expect anything in that moment. And when I don't expect anything, I receive. I mean, I don't like to shout about it, but I'm not bothered, but because I don't really follow famous people in that way. Do you know what I mean? I think, well, you're just another person. To me, you're just another person.
Yep.
So I've had Bob Marley come through, who, to be honest, I've always listened to his songs. And I like the music, I like that music. And I've always listened to him, sang the words, but never really heard the words, right? And at this moment, he was telling me, certification falsified. And he was telling me all these things. He was telling me about Zimbabwe and all of these things that were going to happen there. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, I wrote it all down. I thought, and I messaged my friend who's also on a spiritual journey, and I voice noted, and I was like, yeah, I just had a Bob Marley through. And I was talking about Zimbabwe, like, did he live in Zimbabwe? Because I didn't really know anything about him. I just listened to his music. And I'm like, did he live in Zimbabwe or what? And she went, do you know, he actually wrote a song called Zimbabwe. I said, did he? I was like, yeah. So I searched it up, never heard it before. Listen to the words about being awoken, about all of these things. You're going to have to listen to it yourself.
Yeah,
But
well, now.
I was like, he was spiritually awake. I was like, oh my God, through his music, he was really trying to spread the word, the message, this, and this, and his light works through that. And then I read up all about him, how he died. I didn't even know how he died. I read about people trying to take him out and things like that. And it was like, wow. And there's been so many different, what we would call famous people that have come through to help me with my own awakening, to help me with the next step on my journey. Like David Bowie, for instance, I didn't even know he had died. And he was just in my living room. And I'm like, right, okay. Full David Bowie kind of, costume, what he used to wear, like that way out there stuff. And I'm like, why, what are you here for? Like, what are you
David?
And it was like, I know. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to be singing or acting anytime soon. Do you know what I mean? Because that's just not what I do. And he's like, I'm here to help you with performance and things like that. And I'm like, but I'm just me. Like, I show up as just me. I can't be anyone else. I can't act. I can't dance. And I definitely can't sing. But I do all of them badly. But, it was performance. Like, it was almost like up leveling me, like really guiding me in that way for that next step, that next level. And it's not a massive jump. It was like a little level and getting to that point. And then it went. And I was like, okay, I've had not even just famous people, but like a butler. That's a guide that come in, they swap and change. I've had a guide and he called Timothy. And I was literally just having a cup of tea in the garden. My sister was here, and normally I don't have anyone here in the morning when I'm getting my son ready. So she gives him his breakfast. I thought, I'll have a cup of tea in the garden. And I'll sit there and I'd just close my eyes and I would listen to the birds, and I would just sat there and I heard this, like a hotel bell. And then I seen the bell. Ding, ding, ding. I thought, what on earth? And then it turned into this, like, where they serve the nice fancy food with the lids, the big silver lids.
Oh, the silver thing, yeah.
So this lid were coming off. I could see these little tiny carrots and a tiny little bit of food. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, now you're just taking the mick out of me now. I thought it was my normal spirit guide. like trying to tell me to eat healthy and less food, right? Because I like my food. So I thought he was just having a joke. And then I heard Timothy, and then I saw Timothy in a butler, and I'm thinking, why on earth would a butler come through to me? Like, why? And it was to help with organisation because I wasn't very organised. I was a bit all over, when things ramp up in your business, I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do?
That's
And
brilliant.
he helped me. And
So can I ask, when he came through, so when you heard Timothy and you kind of saw this butler and you're thinking, what the hell is a butler doing here?
Mm.
Do you ask? Do you go, why
Yeah.
are you here?
yeah,
And then
always.
they are, yeah.
Always
You-
ask, why are you here? What are you here to help me with? Because clearly they're here to help me with something. But it's
Yeah.
never what you think it is, because I'm thinking, because I thought it was food. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm going on a diet then. That's what you're trying to tell me, be more healthier and eat less and eat healthy. That's what I thought. But it wasn't. It was to do with organisation, because butlers are very, very organised. They have a timetable. They're very good at what they do. And I was like, how funny is this?
I love this because you're just demonstrating how things can come through. I think for you, like, obviously it's great because you've really got it. You've been practicing it, and you're great at it, aren't you? Like, I've never seen. I have guidance come in, but I don't see who it's coming from. So
Yeah.
this is actually going to lead me on to the next question. So I don't know who's on my spirit team. I have feelings of, like, I feel like there's definitely some kind of bookish type knowledgeable man on, like, my team for sure. I feel very masculine energy around me, but I don't know. So, but I don't care now. In the beginning, and this is something I really wanted to highlight, I
Yes.
wanted to know. I was so desperate. I know what they look like.
Yeah.
What's their name?
Who are they?
Like, yeah, who
Yeah.
are they? I want to see you. And it wasn't until I just dropped all of that, and I think it's a part of the journey. You got to
It
go
is.
through that. But when I dropped all of that, that was when I really just started appreciating the guidance that came through,
Yeah.
understanding how it came through for me. And for me, it is my internal voice. And
Yeah.
also very much, they love to use books for me and podcasts. Like, that's how they get my attention. And I know now to look for that. I'm not looking to try and hear the guidance. I
No.
know, like, that's how it is. And I think that's
Yeah.
really important, to find your own way of how they stop trying to put expectations on.
That is one thing. And that's where I was going with it, actually. Why I was saying that, I was saying, the basics of grounding, protection, cleanse. And then I connect my students. I'm like, let's find your link into your spirit team. And this is going to be your guide, your angels, whoever it's going to be at this point in your life now. It is whoever it's going to be. And it isn't to go, who is it? Right? Because a lot of people see they've got goddess Isis and they've got this, ascended master, and they've got all these really high people. I'm like, it could be Bob the Builder for, down the road. Don't worry about it. It could be anyone, but whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You've got to learn to trust in something you can't see, hear, feel, or know at this moment. And if you can do that and build a relationship in that way, just by the guidance that you're receiving, you will start to know who your guides are, who the angels are, who the dragons are, who are these ascended masters, who are the elementals, who are the galactics, who is it that's coming through. And I could always tell through the channeled writing myself was when I knew it was a guide, because I didn't know who my guide was, but they had a very cheeky, funny character, right? So a lot of the time, he actually just takes the mick out of me. He just does, right? It's that kind of
so
banter.
cheeky, aren't they? They are funny.
Yeah, funny. So I knew when it was him, and then sometimes it'd get a bit like blunt. Like if I ask him, why is this happening? Or da 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 da, and they'd be like, doof, 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 doof. That's because I wasn't doing this. I'd come out of my spiritual routine. I wasn't da 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 da, wasn't da 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 da. A bit of a kick up the bum. So that was a different guide coming in who needed to be a bit more stricter, because, and it's not to tell you, you have to do this. It's because you're not doing this. That's why you feel the way you do. You feel disconnected. You feel this, whatever. So I have a very strict one, like a kick up the bum guide when I'm messing about and I need a bit of going on. And then the funny one is just hilarious. But I could tell when it was angelic as well, because it was very much what I was writing, and I knew it wasn't me because of the words. Like, I'm really rubbish, like with words, big words. My partner said something to me yesterday in the kitchen, and I didn't answer him straight away. And he's like, "Oh, Dawn's ignoring me again." And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm going, "What does that word mean? What's he all going on about? I don't understand the question. I don't know what he's saying." And I'm like, "I'm really sorry, but what does that word mean? Because I need to go Google it." And I'm one of those, right? So it takes me a while to kind of get it in. Tell me in a very simple way, I'm good. So yeah. So I do have to do a lot of Googling with long words, but so they come through with these words that I don't know what they mean. And I have to Google it after I've done my child writing. Like, what does this mean? I was walking back from the school run. Oh, I was saying, actually, I'll just keep on track with that. But I knew when it was the angels because it was very much, it wasn't guidance, right? For me, and it's very different. Some people get guidance from the angels, right? But for me, I had my guides for the guidance. And my angels were very much like coming in for healing of what I needed to work on myself, and encouragement and loving energy, right? I kind of knew with the writing which one it was coming through. It took a bit of a while. It didn't happen straight away, but over a period of time of being consistent with it and repetitive, I started to see. You know, my spirit guide, I was walking home from school one day after dropping him off. And the thing is, I just walk slowly. I'm like taking everything in, right? So I'm not rushing about. I just walk and I'm looking in people's gardens, like, oh, they're nice flowers. Oh, that's a nice garden. You know, I'm dead nosy. So I'm noticing everything, right? Which sometimes people say to you, slow your awareness down, take it all in. I'm doing that naturally. So I'm walking along and in my head, stop walking like a sloth. Rude. I'm like, pardon? What do you mean? Walk with some exuberance, Dawn, like this. And I was like, the friggin' hell does that? So I get home, I'm like, exuberance, meaning, what does it mean? And it was like, you know, walk with a bit of oomph, walk, like stand, put your shoulder. But the weird thing is when I was walking, my back went straight, my shoulders went up, and I'm walking along like, oh, this is so weird. I do walk very slothish, I must admit, you weren't wrong. You know, I comes back and I goes in my group and I goes, I was laughing my head off. And I'm like, this is what your spirit guides can be like. It's not all serious all the time. And I think that's where when people go on this development journey, it's very much, they take it very seriously. And yeah, to a degree, but they forget to have fun. And then they get frustrated because it's so serious. And then they drop out of doing it because it doesn't feel like fun. So this is one thing that I have with my students. I know at a certain point in that development, like over 6 months, and sometimes they're working with me for 12 months. Sometimes it's 6 months. It depends on them, right? It doesn't it? Like how quick it unlocks and everything for them. So, you know, at certain points, I know they're going to have this drop. And that's when I do something fun and we do something fun. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this. And it might be a dancing video and I can't dance. Right? Once a year. It only goes out into the public once a year. I was very much self-conscious. I was very much like this. And I was like, if I can't show my students to not be bothered what other people think, right? And even if you get nasty comments on your videos, who cares? You know, who cares? You know, and I don't care. I'm overweight, you know, and this and this. And I was still dancing on a video. Like, I didn't care. And they were like, wow, that is amazing. So every Friday we had like Friday, let's create a video dance days. Like Friday morning is I dance to Elvis in the kitchen while I'm cleaning up. You know, it's those kind of times where you just got to have a bit of fun or do something that you enjoy and that brings you joy, no matter what that is. It might not be dancing or singing. It could be just going for a walk, you know. But you've got to include that in your development because we get too serious, don't we? Like crying and frustrated.
Yeah, that's so good that you do that, Dawn, isn't it? Because we've said that a lot, haven't we? That we always say, oh, we're so lucky to have each other to sort of like walk out. Because so often we have to say, we've got to start having more fun. This is getting too, and then we look for our little signs, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's so important, isn't it? So that's,
and it's like, lovely that you two have got each other because it can be a very lonely journey, being on a spiritual journey. And this is why I wanted to create like I've been in many spiritual groups and they can be very bitchy, very cliquey. You don't feel safe enough to be vulnerable in them, right? And this can be, I mean, I've been in many, and these are, I've paid a lot of money for mentors, right? Not just Katie, but other mentors, and being in those groups, and I can feel it. It's like horrible, and I don't feel safe. So then I can't be myself, and I've had to leave because it's just not right for me. But I didn't know that until I got in there, you know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to create this really safe, vulnerable space. And all my students, like, they have been in many, many spiritual groups, like, and they're like, I can't believe how much we share our vulnerabilities. So obviously there's a lot of healing. The people I help, I think they're attracted to me because we've kind of had similar things go on in our lives, right? So I can resonate with them, and I attract those people who have gone to the darkness and had to work the way through the change makers, the generational healers, and this and this. Like, there's so many things, and you're not one thing. You're not just a medium. You're not just a psychic. You're not just a healer. You're not just this. You are multidimensional, and you're meant to tightrope into all of these connections. And it can be a crazy journey. And I feel like a lot of those are very much who come to me or attracted to my energy. And I think just being down to earth, showing that you care, showing that you're there to listen, showing that it's safe and you can be vulnerable. And every time I go through the school with my students, I'm doing it myself. I'm not, I'm the leader and I'm going to tell you what to do and all of this. I can't stand it. Like, no one is better than anyone, right? And
That's what I always say. Is
nobody's better than anyone.
what I always say. Yeah.
We're all on a journey, and it's a similar journey, and some people have been on the journey longer, some haven't. And we're in that school and in that safe space. I have got students who are now going, I want to come on live in there. I want to do what I've learned and channel the healing, and because they're practicing their own channeling and they're healing and they're experimenting with it. And I'm like, wow, like, you have been able to feel that safe to fully allow your soul abilities to come out exactly how they should. And that's what people need, that safe space, because without it, they'll just drop off, they'll quit.
That's so amazing. And do you know what? You bring up such an important point, and I feel really strongly about this. And this is something that Bex and I have been talking about as well. And I think that we've got to this point in time now where, like before, everyone kind of did Reiki. There was Reiki healing, and that was kind of, that's it. You follow this strategy, you do what you're told, people talk. I think now we're at a point where we have all come in as souls to bring new, channel in new, like completely new, and it's really difficult because it's never been done before. There's no instruction manual, and this is where we really have to have the safe spaces that you're talking about. We have to be listening to things like, to what you're saying, to podcasts like ours, where we're not telling you what to do, but we're empowering you to be able to go out and believe in yourself and do it for yourself, because you're here to bring your soul gifts. Like, you came into this world with a particular unique soul gift. Now more than ever, I truly feel that.
Absolutely.
We need to get you out there doing it, and you've got to be brave, because it's scary, because you don't know, there is no instruction manual, and you've kind of just got to trust and take that leap, haven't you?
We've got one, and like, she's like, I've done Atlantean healing, she's an angelic Reiki master, she's this, she's that, and it's all separated. And she's like, and I'm like, you're not here to separate them all. You're here to create a mixture of it all and do it yourself. And she's like, do you know, I never thought about that. And I was like, it's a multidimensional healing that you're doing. I said, you can connect psychically. She can do mediumship, but she's not interested in mediumship. She's learned mediumship, but she's not interested. That's fine. Yeah. You do it your way. And when she let go of, I need to offer a Reiki healing or this healing, and it all separate. And I used to do the same because I didn't have a clue. I was like, okay, so I can offer psychic readings, mediumship, a mixture of psychic medium. I'm do chakra ascension, healing, and I just offered them separately. And they kind of said to me, what are you doing? Like, bring it all together. Bring all of that and blend it together and
Yeah.
create something that is yours. And I'm like, funny.
Good idea.
Good
Who
idea.
knew?
You've got to trust what they're saying to you. You've got to trust that even though you feel like you want to add more and you want to give more value and more this, actually it overcomplicates everything.
Yeah.
It needs to just be simple.
Yeah.
And if another level is needed, then another level is created and you can go deeper. It's like an unfoldment. Even still now, my students know I'm unfolding. I share my vulnerabilities. I share if I'm in the void. I'm not perfect. Just because I'm doing this and I'm teaching you does not mean I'm perfect. I am still vulnerable. I'm still
Mm.
learning. I'm still growing. I'm still unfolding. I'm still unlocking new things, you know?
Exactly. That's such a good point. And I'm exactly the same. Like with my clients, I'm always like very, very open with my experiences, what I'm going through. And
Yeah.
like, I'm with you. I'm going through the same thing. This is what I've tried to do. I found like this has
Yeah.
helped. Maybe try it as well. And people appreciate it because I think there's a real danger in the spiritual world of people, the adoration, gurus, and
Oh, yeah.
like you said before, no one's better than anyone else. And it doesn't matter how spiritual someone is. I think there's definitely a tendency with like when you see a psychic medium or someone who's, like really honed their gifts and have got
Mm.
them coming through quite strong. You put them on a pedestal and then you think they're these like magical people that can't get anything wrong. And I'm like, no, they're still humans. They're
Yeah.
still learning. They're still on their growth journey.
Yeah.
They will be until they leave this earth and they'll carry on and they're seeing
Yeah.
things through their own lens and their programming. So use them as inspiration, take what resonates with you, but always make sure that you're the authority, you're the final say, because
Yeah.
you have to understand they are still human and
Yeah.
they're still going through their stuff. And it's okay for you to be a leader and help people,
Yeah.
even if you're one step ahead of them. You can
Exactly.
help that person that's even like side by side as well. You just have to
Yeah.
be brave and step up and do it, but be vulnerable at the same time and say, yeah, I
And
haven't got it worked out.
that's where a lot of people go wrong. And I did. I was one of them. I put people on a pedestal, like thinking that all people who are in a spiritual, working spiritually or in a spiritual place were all of light. I honestly did. I thought, well, they're all of
Mhm.
light. They can be trusted. This, and this. And I remember trusting this couple and I put them on this pedestal, this huge pedestal, because they're so knowledgeable. They were channeling and it was amazing. I was like, wow, this is out of this world. Like, I wish I could do something like that. You put them on this pedestal. Now, I didn't use my discernment, so it was a huge lesson to feel into people's energies when I feel like I want to work with them or I don't, or there's a thing I didn't listen. And that's one of the things I teach my students as well. And I won't let anyone join my school. It's a case of, can you feel my energy? Where are you feeling my energy in your body? How does it feel to you? Does it
Mhm.
feel good? Does your soul go, I like being in her energy, I feel calm in her energy, I feel drawn to her? Or does it give you the ick? Because let me tell you, I give a lot of people the ick, right? And not everyone's meant to work with me or be taught. And I'd feel awful, someone wasting their money
Yep.
coming into because it makes my job harder. So I'd rather
Absolutely.
just sit with them on a call and be like, let's do this, let's feel into it now.
Mhm.
We do it together, and that's how I get the right matches for me. And I don't care if I'd rather have 10 solid people join me who are a match than 50. Um,
Absolutely.
and so I am very careful now. But that putting people on a pedestal helped me discern, and also
Yeah.
helped me help others discern to work with me. And I think
Yes.
I needed that. And I mean, I've had a lot of students who were not a match in the beginning, as you don't realize you want to help everyone, don't you? You're like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
everyone. I did that. I got burned.
Yeah.
But again, I'm grateful to him because it showed me who
Absolutely.
I didn't want to work with, right? I didn't want to work with. And it isn't I don't have any hard feelings towards them, because all it is just a different part of the journey, and who they were at that point. I used to be that person, you know?
Mhm.
So I can
Mhm.
relate to them as well. So again, if you're choosing a mentor, you're choosing someone, like, feel into their energy. And if you
Yeah.
just feel it, like, if it feels good to you, jump in. If it doesn't,
Mhm.
don't do it. Don't waste your money, don't waste your time. But, connecting to your spirit team, mainly your spirit team, And that's why I get my students plugged in early, because I want them to receive guidance from their team and build that relationship up, get what their next steps are, get what they need help with, like on a personal level. Like, are you suffering with your self-worth? Like, how can I work on that? How can I work on my confidence as I move forward? We look at the areas where they're stuck or suffering, or there's wounds or things like that that are maybe going to hinder them further down the line, because I didn't know all those things.
Yeah.
And I bumped into them as I'm growing, and it was like, whoa. And I still bump into them now, but I've learned to be able to remove and heal and go in and in and in and do that deep inner work. So it's very much based around connection to your spirit guides, deep inner work. And yes, it's going to be hard, very,
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah.
But you will become your best self once you come out that other side. And life just feels easier, especially when you've been in dark places, when you feel like you've had enough of having enough. And you just know you're having these spiritual experiences. You feel at the end of your tether, you don't know what you want. You're in that space of like, well, I just walked out of that job. I don't know why. I just did it. I didn't know what I needed. Didn't know what I want. Now I'm thinking, well, what have I done? You're in this space. The reason why you've done it is because you had an urge to do it. There's another job for you, another calling for you. And I mean, I was once in that place where I just walked out of a job. I was 3 children. I was a single mum. And I walked out of this job, and it was an amazing paid job. Driving home, and I'm like, feel amazing. Gets home, picks my children up from their care, and I'm like cooking the tea, and I'm thinking, I'm jobless. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I remember going to job centre, and I thought, why? I've left a job. Now I'm going to a job centre because that's what I've got to do to even get any money, because how am I going to survive? How am I going to feed my children? I can't do that. And I went to the job centre. I just sat there and I cried. And I had a lovely, lovely guy, and he was like, so why did you leave your other job? And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, I'm going to help you. Okay. And he said, well, what do you want to do? Like, so I sat there. I was like, I need to do something rewarding. And I always wanted to be a nurse. And I'm like, maybe I should just go into nursing care, right? And start there and see how I feel. So I did. I ended up in a nursing home as a healthcare assistant, and I absolutely loved it. It was minimum pay, right? But I loved it. And what really, this is what I think helped me awaken a little bit more, because I didn't understand the end of life fully. So I was guided into there to see the end of life. And I sat with people who were passing away, waiting for their loved ones to come, physically. And I'm sat there, and I saw the end of life, and it was flipping amazing. And I could feel all these energies around them, and I knew when they'd gone. It was incredible. It was sad, but incredible. And I was terrified of handling a dead person, So there was all still those feels there, but it actually helped me not be scared of spirit. And I think because of that, in there, I remember one weekend I wasn't on shift, and there was this lovely old lady, reminded me of like my grandma, but she was hilarious. And she'd tell you off. She want to know all your personal business on a weekend and all sorts. And at the time, I was going through a little bit of a rocky relationship. And she used to say, do you want me to give you a black eye, Dawn? I'm like, no, you go near that boy again. I'm going to give you I was like, okay, I won't, I promise. And anyway, I was at home and I was in bed, and I wasn't asleep. I was just laid there. And she was just sat there, like as though she was sat on a chair, but she wasn't on a chair. And she went, I'm just coming to say bye to you, Dawn, and don't forget about that black eye. Keep away from that boy. And that were it, gone. And I'm like, well, that was weird. And I honestly didn't even think anything of it. I goes into work on the Monday, and they do a handover shift from the night staff to the day staff. The nurse kind of tells you what's been going on. And she said, just to let you know that Doreen passed away. I was like, when? Which day? What time? And I was that for me, I was like, wow. oh my God, she came to say goodbye to me. Like, I just looked after her. Do you know what I mean? I just made,
Yeah.
but I treated them all like my nan and granddad. I absolutely
Yeah.
loved it. It was like one big happy family. And
Oh,
and it showed me even more compassion, to be more compassionate
yeah.
towards those that are passing over, towards those that are having to come and say goodbye to their loved one, to be more compassionate towards spirit and understand and let go of the fear of dying, of seeing death, of seeing spirit. So that unlocked that. So you're going to have your spirit guides, even though if you're not connecting with them, they're still going to guide you in life. And,
Yes.
like, think about it. You ever driven or walked and you just get that gut feeling, oh, don't walk that way. So you go that way.
Mhm.
That's your spirit guide. You're being
Yeah.
guided. I've done it
Yeah.
many times. I've driven the long way around because I have an urge not to go on the bypass. Like, don't go on the bypass.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Maybe I was going to cause an accident. Maybe something was going to happen to me. Who knows? But because I didn't go on there, it didn't happen, you know?
And I think that's so important. That's such an important point, because I think there's like maybe a tendency with some people to think that if you're not connected in with your spirit guides and you can't hear them and you're not like, you haven't got that direct connection, that you're not going to benefit from them. But no, they're like, they've been with you your whole life. They
Yeah.
are still guiding you. They are still doing it. It's just nice to be able to do it consciously,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I think simply, like, my partner laughs because I ask, like, I'll spend some money but I'll be like, it always is replaced. Every time I spend some money, it's replaced, right? It just is.
Yep.
And he literally is like, I don't know what kind of voodoo stuff you're doing, Dawn, me out, And I'll go spend so much, like say 70 quid, and then 70 odd quid will come back in my account, and and it's just very much like that. It's just the way that it works. And you can do it now. Anybody can do it. You can just ask your angels if you want a certain outcome of something. So say, for instance, so simple, just try it like this. I go to Aldi, still shop at Aldi, absolutely love it in there. Today, right, angels, I really want a parking space close to the front doors, right? Because everybody knows on a Sunday afternoon, or Monday afternoon even today, is busy. Yeah, it's busy. And I was like, don't want the exact first one, but I'll have the second one down, right? I'm toddling along. There it is. It's there, yes. Thanks, angels. Thank them. Let them know that you appreciate it. As I'm walking around Aldi doing getting my shopping, I'm like, when I get to the till, I want it to be clear. Like, nobody's there. And it were busy. So I gets up to the till. The guys, he were just finishing serving someone, and he's got the red till closed, right?
Yeah.
And I went walking up because I didn't really see that. Well, I did, but I kind of pretended I didn't, right? And he went, oh, sorry, love. And I went, never mind. He went, no, come on. Thanks, angels. Right. And it can be so simple like that. But it's a
No. Mm. 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 Mm.
know it's going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And when you
Lovely.
let go of that and you go about your day, these things start to come,
Yeah.
and the
It's so
sign.
true. And that works out, like, because obviously I talk a lot about the subconscious mind. Our listeners know I talk about the subconscious mind as well. And I just love, this was part of what I love. They work in harmony together, the spirit world and your subconscious mind. And it's like knowing and trusting and actually utilizing your spirit team, asking them, no, it's okay to ask them, they're there, they want to help you. But then also that subconscious mind part is you have to expect it. You have to wire your mind with the belief of this is going to happen, and then let go of it. So like you said, don't push it, don't keep asking. No, I always like to think of it like this is what I say to my ladies, like, when you go on Amazon and you order something, you put that order in, you don't sit there and then go, is it going to come? Is it going to come? Don't know.
No.
You expect that it's going to come and
Yeah.
arrive at your door, and it might not be the next day, but you know it's going to come.
Yeah.
So you can just go on about your day and carry on. And sure enough, it will turn up. And that's how you've got to see this. And it's
Yeah.
it's fun to play with, like bringing back the fun, like we were
Yeah.
saying. It's fun to play with parking spaces and shopping.
Play with the
It's so funny because I did the exact same thing today. I was out
Yeah.
shopping and I did the parking space outside the front door, and bam, there it was. And then we were looking for school shoes, and I'm like, it would be really great because it's busy here if the shoe on display is size 6 for you. So if
Yeah.
look at that, size 6, try it on, fits, great, yeah, go, let's go. You know,
My
it's fun.
partner freaks out. I remember one time when I never understood manifestation. I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest, until one of my friends, she was like, "Oh, I'm a manifestation coach." I was like, "What's that?" You know? And she's like, "Oh, let me show you, let me kind of thing." And I'm like, "All right, yeah, well, we'll see if it works." I'm one of these, but I'll give it my all. And I always put 100% in everything I do, but I have to test it to see if it works.
That's you, Tash,
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, everything I do is baby steps. Baby step, baby step, baby step. I know I'm going to get there, but I'm just doing baby steps, right? And I've got to know that it works. So anything my guides give me, anything that is, I have to test it. It's like I test it first. How does it work? Is there any different ways it could work in that way? It's like an experiment. And then I get a couple of students to try it, and then I get this, and it's kind of like that, and it builds up, and it's like, right, we're all having this experience, we're all having it, and that's how it works for me. I'm not one to go, right. I mean, if they give me an idea, sometimes it's done. I'm out there, I'm doing it, right? Because I'm 100% all in everything I do. But yeah, the manifestation was very much like, just a little bit, let's just try it out. And, I've never been materialistic, and I always found it really difficult because everyone I see online is very materialistic, and they're all going, I want these fancy holidays and this. And to be honest, yeah, it'd be nice, but it'll be nice.
Yeah.
There's nothing more than that, but it'd be nice. It doesn't make me go, yeah, I want to jump out of bed. I'm going to do everything I can to spend 10 grand on this holiday, right? That's not, money doesn't motivate me. Those kind of things don't motivate me. I'm thinking, well, just give me a field, give me some land, right? And we'll create something, and that's what I've struggled with. And everyone's like, it's okay to receive money. And I'm like, I know it is. And I did have a money wound. I grew up on a council estate. We just didn't have a lot, but we loved we had fun. But it was very much like, when you get told all the time, no, it doesn't happen to people like us. That was the wound. So I had to kind of get rid of that wound a little bit and kind of work on that and kind of just build my pricing up a little bit. But I've always gone with how I feel. Like, how do I feel about that? Is it scary? Is it not scary? If it's not scary, it's a bit comfort zone, so we have to go a little bit scary. So a bit like that feeling. But I've also I don't want to go too expensive. A lot of people go, well, you're high paying clients, you've got to get those and this, that, and the other. Yeah, money in the right hands does good. Money in the wrong hand doesn't. Yeah, I would love to earn a load and load and load of money so that I can do good with it. And it's not all about materialistic things, And I know one day I will get there fully. Yeah. But in the beginning, when I started this manifestation, I was like, oh, let's see if I can win £15, or we can get this, that, little bits, right? And with working with her, I ended up getting to like 10K months, right? I didn't have an automated system. I didn't have an email list. I didn't have anything, right?
That's
But each
amazing.
month I was like, right, if I can just add another £1,000, because my first goal was, now, like I said, money doesn't drive me. So I had the figure, but I'm like, ugh. So mine was to earn the same as my partner, like 4K a month, right? Bearing in mind, my first month in business, I earned £495. It was the best £495 through readers I've earned.
Yeah.
So each month got a little bit more, little bit more, little bit more, little bit more, right? And I said, okay, so if I need a goal, if I could earn the same as my partner, that would be amazing, right? So I remember it being in January, and I hit the 4K, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe it. And then she's like, right, if you want to do it in baby steps, right, 5K next month, 6K, 7K, 8K, 9K, 10, and we did it. And I remember getting to October, and it were like 8,000 and something. I was like, this is just crazy to me. Like, what am I meant to do with all this money? You know, and that was a real thing. It scared me. I was sending money to my mum. I was getting rid of it. It wasn't safe for me to hold this money, right?
Mm-hmm.
How scary was that? It's like, no, have it. I was buying everyone everything, you know, like, da, da, da. Then the next month again, it was like 9,000 something. And I was like, get rid of it. You know, I was being generous, right?
Yeah.
And then December, it got to 10, and then 10 and a half. Then at the end of January, the whole scariness came in.
Sabotage.
I went backwards. I don't want to earn anything. I don't want to earn that much money. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to handle it. And then, you know, we're like, you really need to work on your money.
That was your subconscious thermostat.
Yeah.
It's like you're all comfortable with a certain amount of money, aren't you? And then your subconscious
I
sabotages
did.
you.
I sabotaged it. And I was in panic mode. Now, I'd never done hypnotherapy, working with subconscious mind or anything. I didn't know anything about this. So it has literally been through experience that I have learned this. And it's like, I channel my guides. Why am I really scared of this money? Why am I trying to get rid of it? What is going on? They're telling me, you know, recode this. You need to go deeper, do this. I was like, okay, so I'm doing it. And I'm like, why is this so difficult? I was on a roll. You know, I was buzzing. I was attracting everything. Like, clients were coming out of nowhere. This were happening, that were happening. It was amazing. But if you've still got those wounds, and it doesn't matter if it's a money wound, a self-worth wound, whatever wound it's going to be, if we haven't worked on all of those wounds, it's going to hit us. And I feel at every level there's another wound that I'm working through. And obviously from then I've built myself back up again. Like I'm okay, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be another wound at some point. But this is the thing. I always say, the spiritual journey, whether you're doing mediumship, healing, psychic, whatever it may be, you're always going to have healing for yourself, growth. Through that healing, there's a growth. It's a next level. And it's not a next level as I'm good, I'm going to be at level 100 and I'm going to be amazing ego talk. It is the next level of unlocking. So the more healing we do, the deeper your connection to spirit, to yourself, to other people psychically, and the healing that goes on. The deeper your connection, I've unlocked through going through this healing growth, unlock, healing growth, unlock pattern that everybody goes through. At every level, there's been like a new being. So when I first started connecting and I saw a galactic being, I'd never heard of him. And I thought, what on earth is that? When I was in my bedroom getting ready for bed, I'd already done my channeling, I'd done everything that day. But I'd done a lot of healing in the few months before. And I sat there and I was like, and I had this urge to get my notepad out. I saw this being that didn't look right. You know what I mean? It didn't look human. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, I'd be the one to see weird things, you know? Like, why can't I just be normal and have angels and spirit guides and just spirit? No, but no, Dawn, you've got to do this. So it's like, all right. So I started channeling Arcturian, right? This was my Arcturian guide. And I'm thinking I'd have no clue what that is, and start channeling. This is your mission, your Earth's mission. And I'm thinking mission. It sounds like bloody Star Trek, you know? Like, so it was very much like out there for me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, I don't know what I want to do with this kind of thing. But what I did feel from that being is this overwhelming feeling of love. Like, it was like me. It was me. It was around me. It was within me. It was everything. And I've never felt that love before, ever. Obviously, I'm searching then on Google, like, this feeling of love and this, because I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
And it kept bringing up near-death experiences. I'm like, oh my God, have I just died? Have I just had a near-death experience? Because that feeling, what they explain is this feeling, overwhelming feeling of love, and it is you, it's around you. And I'm like, maybe I just died. And maybe I've just come back and I don't know that I've had a near-death experience. You know what I mean?
Well, you poor thing. I
My
do.
mind just goes like that. And I'm like, crazy. But then I went to this spooky shop. It's a mediumship development. It's a crystal shop. Cards, I call them spooky shops. I went there and she's an angel medium and she was just talking to me, general conversation. I was buying some stuff and she was like, do you know what I love about the angels is when they make you feel that feeling of love that you can't describe. And I was like, maybe I didn't have a near-death experience.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't. And then I started going, oh my God, so you can get that from your angels as well. I'm like, maybe that's what I was feeling at that exact time. Because the couple that I said I had to use my discernment with was very much galactic. I didn't understand it. I just used to do the meditations and I used to feel sick when I did the meditations, right? So it kind of rocked me. Maybe I just weren't ready for that at that
Yeah.
point. Maybe now if I did it, I'd be okay. But back then,
Mhm.
no, it just wasn't right anyway. But I used to feel sick. And I thought, oh my God, right. But I was scared because of that. I had
Yeah.
that fear of the galactics because of that, you know. But I've since worked out, you know, through the channeling, through everything like Andromeda, I've linked to Andromeda, Sirius, and Actuarius. And some of them I'll channel. I speak light language. I do it with my hands. I speak it right through my school. They're like, oh my God, like the feeling that they get from that. And I also see codes like that I imprint into people, like with my hands, and it comes through. Like I remember doing chakra ascension, which is its own modality, right? You're not allowed to mix it with anything else. But as I'm activating, attuning them to the ascended masters, the symbols, and things like that, after I've done that attunement, it is like, and it comes out, and it's really kind of this activation, this deeper, and it's what they need in that moment, activation or healing. And
Mm.
I was like, oh, I'm not meant to be doing that with that chakra ascension. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it feels like it was needed. So now I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe just do the chakra ascension and then we'll just offer this to do it like that. So it's not mixed because it's not mine. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm.
So yeah, it's a whirlwind, like, but if you follow your guides and your angels and your channel, they're gonna send you on this weird, wonderful, crazy, brilliant, magical journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's full of twists and turns, and what you think it is isn't what it is.
Yeah. And you never know where you're going to end up, do you? Because it's so funny because we've been on the same journey, and we had the whole thing with the galactics, and we were like,
Yeah,
no,
we did.
not ready for that yet. Like a few years ago,
Yeah.
nope. And then fast forward to today, and we're like,
Well in.
well in there, well in there with the light language and everything.
One of my mentors, she was very much like an old matron, right? And it's someone I had to stop, my very first mentor, but she taught me the senses. And I felt like I needed to close my eyes in connection. She knows all about this. I've talked to her since, and I wanted to close my eyes, and she's like, eyes open, keep them open. You do not need to close your eyes. And I was like, yeah, which made me nervous. I couldn't connect. I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. You're making me nervous. And she was very like, like an old matron. If I had her now, because I understand so much more, I'd get it, right?
Yeah.
But for me at that point, being who I was just wasn't wasn't happening. So she terrified me. And then I found Katie, and she was much more gentle, softer,
Yeah.
soul, right? I
Yeah.
was like, yes, that's for me. But she was very much back then, right? It was just spirit and spirit animals, spirit and spirit animals. Nothing else. If I'd have told her about the dragons that I saw, or the dragon realm that I went into by accident, I didn't even know what we're doing. She'd have been like, no, like, who even are you?
Yeah.
Fast forward to today, she's done chakra ascension. So chakra ascension, literally, it's the basics kind of thing, and then you get to level 4. It's multidimensional. You're sending healing backwards through time, space, everything, and you're working with higher chakras, and you know all of that stuff. And she's now channeling galactics.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like,
And then you've just got to never say never with this, haven't you?
oh,
Never
yeah.
say never. It can be not for now, not right now, but never say never for the
Some
future.
of my students are like, it's really interesting. I'm really drawn to it, but I don't understand it. It feels a bit weird. I'm like, that's fine. Just leave it.
Yeah.
Don't try.
Yeah.
Don't try push it. Just it will come when it's meant to come. And one of my students, she's very much she likes, do you know those sewing but pictures? So she'll get a picture thing, and she's sewing this mountain, and it's Mount Shasta, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't even know it was. And then she was
Oh,
channeling about Mount Shasta and these ascending masters. And then she got a Palladian guide come through, and she's like, "What even is Palladian?" And it's unraveling for her as well. And it's just so lovely to see and hear. I love to hear, like, honestly, because I am nosy and I love people's journeys, people's experiences. And to me, I remember going in groups and someone would do a post and everyone would be like, no, and they'd put their input on that. That's not possible, especially mediumship, right? I was in a mediumship group once and I'm just doing what I do and practicing in there. And they were like, no, that's not mediumship. And I'm like, well, it is mediumship to me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very, very strict, and you couldn't have your own opinion, right? Or your own experience, because what you experienced were wrong because it wasn't their way and it was very much in a box. And I'm like, no, this didn't feel right. I always say, just be open to listening and don't judge and don't have an opinion. Just share your experiences.
Wow. Oh my gosh, Dawn,
Oh,
we could talk to you.
I know. I'm so glad.
I feel
No,
like
I love listening
I feel like we
to
need
you.
to get you back on again because there's like loads of things that we could go off. We've touched on loads of different topics and we could just go deeper into all of them. So we're going to have you back 100%. But for now, before we go, what for our listeners now, with everything you know and all the work you do around your kind of like connection to spirit and your spirit guides, so it's like really succinctly, what's the one thing that you would like everybody listening who is opening up to connecting with spirit to know?
Is to trust and to know that it is real. Okay. Just because you can't see, feel, hear, whatever at the moment, it is real. And the more that you surrender and trust, the more you will experience. If you don't surrender and trust, you're going to block yourself. And then you're going to be like, oh, well, it don't work for me. It don't work for me. It will work for anybody and everybody because everybody's got an ability. You're all here for a reason. You all came to this earth to do your uniqueness on this earth. And just because you may be a medium and you go, yeah, but there's thousands of mediums, millions of mediums out there, right? Think about it a bit like a hospital. There's doctors, there's many doctors, they're all titled a doctor, but they all have different roles as a doctor. Just like a medium, there's no one medium that works the exact same. There's no one psychic, no one healer. And you hold within you a unique gift that isn't in the world yet. And this is where you need to step up now and go, do you know what? I'm going to allow myself to find out what that unique ability is, step out and shine the light so that you can help other people.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. You need to help someone to find their light and just keep doing this domino effect. And you also heal yourself by doing that as well.
Yeah, exactly that. Oh, thank you so much. That's perfect. That is perfect. And Dawn, we'll put all your details in the show notes. So if people want to come over and find you, and they can look at your school as well. What's your school called?
My school is Spirit Talk School. But again, you come over to my profile, Dawn SH. It's very much a mixture. I'm just me. I'm a mum. I love food. I like to share everything in my life, right? So you're getting a bit of a mixture, some spiritual stuff, some random stuff and some fun stuff and this stuff. So I just feel like you've got to be true who you are and not just be professional all the time, you know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's
I
me.
couldn't agree more. No, I couldn't agree more.
Love it.
Dawn, thank you so much for coming on the show and for everything you've shared with us. It's just been an absolute pleasure, hasn't it?
It has. Thank you so
Been
much.
lovely.
Dawn.
Thank you so much for having me.
So welcome. So welcome. Right, guys, that's it for another episode. We will see you next time. Take care, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye.